Hello, writers. Welcome to this week's Writer's Tool Shed. Our story today is bringing us into space. When the asteroid collided with the spaceship, everything went to chaos. A crucial part of the engine practically dissolved on impact, and the whole hoard of food supplies was seen floating behind the ship, buoyant in zero gravity. The crew was faced with a cruel dilemma. They could cut all power and hope to be rescued while they sat idle and slowly ran out of oxygen, or they could burn the engines and possibly blow up the whole ship if certain parts were too damaged. The captain looked at his crew. He knew what he had to do. "No, Captain," the first mate cried. "Don't be a martyr. We're in this together." "Don't try and stop me, Giles," the captain replied. "I'll get you all out of here." So our first word is collide, and it's a verb. It means to come together with a violent impact. So you can see these two planets are colliding in this picture. They're coming together, they're hitting each other, and then the impact is sending all of this energy and rock out into space. When you're writing with it, collide versus hit, like you could say the two planets hit each other, but one thing to be aware of is that one thing can hit another thing. So you can have one planet hit the other. But when you use collide, you need two things colliding. And collide does not collide into one another, they just collide, period. Two planets collided, period. You already have the meaning of hit one another, two things coming together. So don't repeat that phrase afterwards, that they collided into one another. That's already in the meaning of the word. Dissolve is a verb to break up into smaller pieces and smaller pieces until gone. You can see these Alka-Seltzer tablet is dissolving in the glass of water, and it's getting little bubbles off, and then the tablet is going to get smaller and smaller. When you're writing with it, there's a subtle difference between dissolve and disappear. Disappear, yes, the Alka Seltzer tablet will eventually disappear because it will be gone. You won't be able to see it anymore. But disappear could happen all at once, it could happen fast. It doesn't describe that slow process of losing bit by bit until it's all gone, which dissolve does do. Buoyant is an adjective, something that is able to rise and float. We have this lovely illustration here. This otter is buoyant because it floats in the water. Its body naturally floats. The rock is not buoyant because it does not naturally float. It sinks to the bottom. And so, if you notice, if you're talking about creatures or rocks, buoyant is a property of that thing. The seal is buoyant, or the otter is buoyant or has buoyancy. The rock is not buoyant, has no buoyancy. And so when you're writing with it, you could say floating. The otter is floating, the rock is not floating, but that just describes how it looks from the outside. You're not describing an actual property of the thing. So the otter is buoyant no matter whether it is floating or not. Even if the otter is on land, it is still buoyant. If the rock somehow happened to be held above the surface of the water, it would still not be buoyant, even though it looks like it is floating. Idle is an adjective, not doing anything, just sitting there. This lady is sitting idle while she's waiting for the alarm clock to go off. She's not doing anything, she's not working, she's not playing, just idle. When you're writing with it, idle versus lazy. Lazy has a more negative connotation because lazy means that you should be doing something, or there's you have the feeling of avoiding your work. But then idle is just more neutrally descriptive, like you just happen to not be doing anything at the moment. Maybe you don't have anything to do. The last one is martyr, which is a noun, and it means a person who sacrifices their life for the sake of a belief. So this person in the old days, there were many people who sacrificed their lives for their religion, and so they were called martyrs as they were persecuted and tied up and eventually even killed. When you're writing with it, martyr versus hero, like in the story, the captain was going to martyr himself by saving the crew. A hero could risk their life without actually losing